Kale was no ordinary demon. Unlike his kin, who reveled in the fiery depths, Kale harbored an unusual curiosity. Stories of the human world, whispered by mischievous imps, ignited a spark within him.
Driven by my insatiable curiosity, I ventured forth, leaving behind the comfort of my world for the unknown.
The air grew cooler, the scent of sulfur replaced by damp earth and blooming flora. His fiery eyes, usually flickering with mischief, now held a glimmer of apprehension.
I pressed on, my clawed feet treading lightly on the unfamiliar terrain. I was a stranger in a strange land, a demon on a quest for understanding in a world where my kind was met with fear and suspicion. But I was determined. I yearned to bridge the chasm of misunderstanding that separated my world from that of the humans.
This world felt different, alive with an energy that both fascinated and intimidated him. The forest welcomed Kale with cautious curiosity. Ancient trees, their branches heavy with moss and stories, seemed to observe his every move.
Days turned into weeks as I ventured deeper into the human world. I observed them from a distance, my fiery eyes studying their ways.
He watched children play, farmers tend to their land, and witnessed acts of kindness, love, and despair.
I found myself both repelled and strangely drawn to their complexity.
The stories had painted humans with too broad a brush. They were flawed, but also capable of remarkable things.
I saw their potential for both darkness and light, their capacity for both destruction and creation.
Their lives were a whirlwind of emotions, a chaotic dance of survival and aspiration. And Kale, the demon who had once only known the fiery plains of his realm, found himself captivated by their world. He realized humans were not the wicked beings his kin made them out to be. Legend spoke of a wise witch residing deep within the forest, a being of immense power and understanding. Kale, yearning to comprehend the human world, sought her out.
I followed the whispers of the wind, the rustling of leaves guiding me through the dense undergrowth.
Finally, he reached a clearing bathed in an ethereal glow. In the center stood a humble cottage. An old woman, her eyes twinkling with ancient wisdom, sat on the porch, a book resting on her lap.
Wise one, I seek your wisdom.
I've been expecting you, Kale, demon of curiosity. Sit, let us talk of humans, of empathy, and the bridges we build between worlds.
And so began Kale's true education, a journey into the heart of humanity guided by the wisdom of the witch. Kale learned empathy, understanding the nuances of human nature that eluded him. The witch's teachings became a beacon for his quest. Armed with a newfound understanding of human nature, Kale decided to approach them, to bridge the chasm of fear and suspicion. He chose a small village on the edge of the forest, appearing with his fiery form dimmed to a gentle glow.
Do not fear. I seek only understanding, not conquest.
His words did little to quell their fear. They saw only his fiery eyes, his clawed hands. Kale, undeterred by their initial rejection, decided to prove his intentions through actions. He began by helping them with their daily chores, using his strength to clear fallen trees and chase away wolves.
Who is this creature helping us in our time of need?
Perhaps he is not the monster we feared. Maybe, just maybe, we were wrong about him.
Slowly, the villagers began to see Kale not as a demon, but as a friend. The barriers of fear and prejudice began to crumble, replaced by a bridge of understanding and trust. Kale's efforts did not go unnoticed. The villagers, initially wary, began to see a pattern in his actions.
A child offered him an apple, his eyes wide with a mix of fear and curiosity.
A farmer invited him to share a meal, his gruff exterior hiding a growing acceptance.
Kale, touched by their tentative trust, reciprocated with kindness and respect. He shared stories of his world, painting a picture far removed from their nightmares. He learned their names, their stories, their hopes and dreams. He discovered the simple joys of their world, the taste of fresh bread, the warmth of a shared fire, the sound of laughter. It was a slow, gradual process, like a seed pushing through the hard earth. But with each passing day, the barriers of fear and prejudice began to crumble. Kale, the demon who had once been a figure of terror, was slowly becoming a part of their lives. As Kale became a part of the human world, he began to share his experiences with his own kind. He snuck back into his realm, carrying tales of human kindness, of their struggles and triumphs. They listened, intrigued by his tales of a world so different from their own. Kale's journey, once a solitary quest for understanding, became a bridge between two worlds. He became a conduit for empathy, his actions sparking a flicker of curiosity in the hearts of his fellow demons. For the first time, they began to question the ancient narratives of fear and hatred that had defined their perception of humans. He showed them that understanding could bloom in the most unexpected places. Even sworn enemies could find common ground. His journey was a testament to the power of open hearts and open minds, a beacon of hope in a world often shrouded in darkness and mistrust. Kale knew that changing hearts and minds was not a swift process. It was like the slow growth of a forest, a gradual transformation that took root over time.
He became a symbol of hope, a living embodiment of the understanding that could be achieved when walls of prejudice were torn down.
He witnessed the ripple effect of his actions. Humans, once fearful, began to approach his kind with curiosity rather than hostility. They started to question their own prejudices, to see beyond the horns and claws. The forest, once a dividing line, became a meeting point, a place where stories were shared and friendships forged. The world, Kale realized, was not black and white. It was a tapestry of grays, a complex web of interconnected lives. Within those differences lay the potential for growth, for understanding, for a future where fear no longer dictated the course of their interactions. Kale, the demon who dared to bridge worlds, stood at the edge of the forest, his fiery eyes gazing at the setting sun. He had come a long way from the curious demon who had first ventured into this strange and wonderful world. He had learned much about humans, about himself, and about the power of empathy to bridge even the deepest divides.
The seeds of understanding had been sown, and he had faith that they would continue to grow, nurtured by the courage of those who dared to look beyond their fears and embrace the possibility of a different future.
As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the land, Kale turned and walked back into the forest, towards the human village that had become his second home. He carried with him the hope of a brighter future, a future where demons and humans could coexist, not in fear and suspicion, but in mutual respect and understanding. It was a future worth striving for, a future he was determined to help create. The journey was far from over, but Kale knew that change, however slow, was possible. He had become a symbol of hope, a testament to the power of empathy, and with each step, he carried the promise of a world united in understanding and peace.